Slavica and Ahmed, please come to the stage. Welcome, Slavica.
Is it okay to put the glass here? It will not, just to be aware, not. I need this. Hello, welcome. I'm really happy to see so many people today. I didn't expect due to the weather. And this is actually the first time that I'm presenting out of my company. I didn't have that chance before. So I'm a little bit nervous, and that's okay. So I will read you my cookie fortune for the beginning. So it says like this: networking efforts will soon lead you to a rewarding career opportunity. Huh? So let's go on something serious. How often really we think about who is accessing our system? Today, I will talk about how vital and important is authentication testing and how we can better integrate it in our QA processes. I choose this topic because depending from my QA perspective and also from my experience at Endava and as a community member of security community team, I realize we are not aware what's happening with authentication at all. It's not even a part of our everyday testing. And they raise a question how this really important because we need to check every time who is accessing our system. Authentication is something that we do not focus enough, and the time is to change this. And please, after the presentation, I'm expecting that you share your thoughts, what goes well or it didn't. I'm open for every idea. So we will first talk about what broken authentication is, what kind of attacks and techniques exists, how we can prevent them. The second part is session and cookie security. We will have a quick recap and on the end, the Q&A session. For those who are curious, I have a couple of slides on the end. You can research after when you download the presentation with interesting links and workshops. So, can you raise a hand if you are aware what is broken authentication? Oh. Oh, not at all. Okay, that's fine. So it's a class of security bug when one attacker can log in without knowing actually your credentials and can impersonate legitimate user. And this is really, really important because it's happening when your configuration is weak, you have authentication mechanism weak, missing, or poorly implemented. Results are really bad. We have stolen or misused resources. Next, what I want to mention are the common attacks. There are three types of attacks which are the most common. First one is the brute force attack, when malicious users are trying every possible password on one account until they actually do not succeed and then enter the system. The last one, password spray, would be opposite. When they take all the accounts, for example, from one company and try on those accounts one like really common password. And how this they can do? Just easy, they can go on LinkedIn, check from one company, people working here, and everybody are making their emails often like first name dot last name at company.com. And in the middle one, the second, is credential stuffing attack. This is really serious because if you are using the same password everywhere, then we have a problem. If that password is stolen on one place, maybe attacker can reuse it and enter all your accounts in just one time. So what are the real world risks? They are account hijacking, identity theft, and full system can be compromised if attacker stole admin user. And now is the warning. So attack may affect any web application, anything that have mechanism of access and control. And majority is thinking, maybe not in IT sector, but in other companies, this is happening to somebody else. But when we see this example, you see well-known companies which has these attacks and their consequences, like Instagram, GitHub, Starbucks, Zoom, and Twitter. So strong authentication is essential for everyone. And to sum it up, the potential losses are huge. We can lose a customer trust, business, we can lose a reputation, and also financial losses are huge. And next part is like we are saying, it's okay password, I'm insecure too. So we see this password can be like guessed instantly. And what we can do about this? We can see in this table how quick malicious actor can guess our password instantly in a couple of hours, days, but it might happen never if we use really good passwords. And what else I wanted to say on this part of the topic? Are we aware that on many platforms passwords are stored in plain text? And you can check that really easily just by clicking on I forgot my password. And if password is coming in the text form, exact as you type it, that means that's how they are storing your password. You are expecting a reset link, not the plain text. And only what is encrypted here is their common sense. So this is one way how we can prevent these exploits before they happen. So we have hashed password, and we can imagine two users having the same password. If attacker stole those hash, they can see there is a couple of passwords the same and realize that are the weakest one. And if we add on each password before storing a little bit of salt, so simple data as a string, a random string, and then hash the password, every password will be look the same. Why this is important? Because we have every password unique, even hashed. So the advice is store hash and salt together, because that's not a secret. People are aware of that, but it's helping you that have unique passwords. And multi-factor authentication. This is not anything new, everybody are aware of this, but there is something that we knew as a password, something that we have as a phone for a token, and something that we are, for example, free fingerprint. How can we test MFA? We first go and test like log in with valid credentials, check the token, add the token, and you are expecting you are on the home page. But we should check how can we actually skip the token. So try one more time by clicking directly on the home page, or check the response. There is a possibility in response is token, and you can just copy and paste it and enter system without MFA. The next chapter is about session management. So how session management works. Every time somebody log in, they use password and username. In that moment, server creates a session for that person and gives back a session ID. Every time when you click on a page, on some new page, session is checked by a server to verify it's really new. So what are the threats of the session ID? So if it's easy to guess, so it's predictable session ID, opens the door for hijacking. Through insecure cookies and URLs, session ID might leak. So how we are imagining this? When you are logging in, you are getting like a bracelet for some event or concert. Your session ID is your bracelet which letting you freely walk around the concert festival. But if this bracelet is easy to copy, never expires, it's a big security risk because somebody else can copy it and enter the event. These examples are obvious. On the first, you see a cookie, which on the first look randomly is not easy to guess, but if you resend the same request again, it appears, it's really predictable. And the second example is URL that includes session ID, and this is also another serious security risk. So what we should think about now. Imagine somebody gives you a key card for the hotel and you are where you can enter your room, use your stuff. And stealing session ID means that somebody else also has the same key and can enter your room anytime. So this is a session fixation, the type of an attack, where what you can do to stop this. So you should always have sessions which are expiring. Every time when person log in, change the session ID. Every time when person log out, delete the session ID on your server. So no users can come back without logging in again. Simple test would be log in, log out, click a back button on your browser, and if you are again on a home page, your test failed. And if you need to log in again, this is good. Your session is safe. So what we can do to prevent and make safe our system? We can use some open source authentication frameworks. On this slide, you see a lot of them. There are many. But depending on the language platform or what does it well, you can choose some that fits the best for you. For example, first one, OAuth, it's used from Google and Facebook to log in, and everybody are using that really often. The next one is testing correctness. So when we are testing correctness, checking if login behaves exactly as it should, and in the both manner, if everything goes good and if some things go bad. We have two types of attacks in this sense. Brute force password attack, when attacker actually can use valid username and 200 passwords or more, and system is not locking, and this is a problem. If they can try forever, on the end they will enter. And we need to rate limit and lock out. Also, the second example is similar. It's a brute force OTP attack. On the same way, if OTP can be sent many times and never expires, and you can do this as long as you need, they will enter on the end. Also, there is one example from real life. They can just make you a financial losses because every time when you send OTP, some companies do that with a phone, sending you SMS. And they can just click many times and make you pay for that a lot. So this is a serious problem because especially if some apps claims they are using MFA, but they are not enforcing it properly. And to conclude, check whether the login for is protected against brute force attacks. Try login with the valid credentials, try 200 or more password, and observe. If the login attempt is limited, is lockout, or the delay is triggered, if MFA is triggered, if anything of this is not happening, we have a serious issue on our system. Yeah, I'm expecting to see video. Okay, this is really good for a start if you're interested in security. There is a Juicy Shop platform for learning security testing. Depending on the task, they are rated with the stars. This is a simple task with the 2 stars. And we have admin email inside of the comments of the groceries. We can copy paste it and then try many passwords to see if we can enter the system. How we are doing this? By using a burp suite, capturing only the local traffic, and then we enter only the common passwords. When attacks start, we are observing what's happening in responses. When actually response will be successful, what response we are expecting. When we see 200, we get the password and we can enter system as admin. So in this step, they are choosing what they will burp. They are burping only from response a password and uploading the common passwords. And after this, in a couple of seconds, attack will be successful. So you will not be able to do this fast, but this is how you're learning. Maybe you will need on the first 45 minutes, but after sometimes people need 2 minutes to do this. After testing correctness, next step, rotate and invalidate your session IDs. This I mentioned already. So invalidating session IDs is important when person log out. Rotating session ID every time when somebody log in. Because if anybody already captured a session ID, they can reuse it to walk through the system. So I will skip this because I don't have a lot of time. This is more important. You can find your session ID in this part. Inspect just the page, go on the on application tab and choose cookies. There you have session ID and you can observe what's happening with your session. So what would be like an easy test to test this? You can go log in, capture session ID, log out, and try with the same request and that session ID to log in again, just with the postman. You are expecting response 403, that's forbidden because it's old session, but if you succeed and get 200, your test failed. And for the end, just review your configuration. So single-sign solutions can be misconfigured and check if everything works as expected. And good practices, expire your sessions after 15 to 30 minutes of inactivity, and also bind your session IDs. If anything suspicious happening, like somebody logging from the weird location or from the weird devices, we tried this like 5 of us from the team tried to log in on the same account at the same time. And it's locked because of that was suspicious. Monitor this because this can be brute force attack. And 2 good advices you can easily remember. When you are getting, after the entering the concert, new VIP bracelet, nobody can copy it and cannot use it without buying a new one. And the second example is when you leave a hotel, every hotel actually deactivate your key card. so you cannot enter your room without checking in again. And conclusion is session IDs have to be long, random, hard to guess. Cookies secured, expire your sessions, regenerate session IDs, and log out properly. Clear your session on the server. To sum it up, today, problem was hackers can impersonate users, resource can be stolen or misused, full account can be compromised. Root cause was a missing weak authentication mechanism, predictable tokens, and plain text storage, poor session management, and no expiration. How can we defend with strong passwords, MFA, secure our sessions, rotate and expire session IDs, and passwords should be stored, hashed, and salted. Always rotate, expire session, and protect credentials. Thank you for your listening. I'm open for your questions.
Slavica, thank you for very interesting and information talk. And now let's time for answering question. And after that, you will must choose the more interesting question.
Okay, thank
Let's
you.
begin. Please raise your hand and take microphone and speak. And Arina will help.
Yes, very great. A tool? I didn't use a tool, to be honest. Mostly, I'm not on that advanced level, maybe of security. Maybe the security team is working with this because they are doing penetration testing. I'm doing that in a part of regular QA job. As from the examples I said, like I'm just monitoring, maybe using a burp suit. That's what I'm using, but nothing else special. Like just investigating a page, checking what's happening with the cookies, what's happening with the session IDs, monitoring things, and like thinking what will happen if I try this too many times. If it just these examples, like if the system lock out, is there some message, is anything happening, like to have information that we are insecure. I think they are really curious anyhow, and they'll learn because they are interested in a topic. From my experience, everybody from the security team are actually hackers. So they are doing that in a good manner or a bad, it can be possible, but they will find a way to learn anyhow. And if we are speaking about AI, if they are fast, faster. And this, because of the AI, we are faster also to protect our system. I think that we should raise awareness to any company, because when I told to a couple of neighbors that I'm presenting about this, they all have a story about what happened in their companies, and they are not IT companies. They are like lawyer offices when everything is stolen, and when they send a money on the wrong account because there was a man in the middle attack. They have ransomwares. So we should like raise this because there is many these things on internet than on the street. I think so. Welcome.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Thanks, Slavica, for an amazing presentation. I'm Josh Bradovic, co-founder of Budify. My question would be, yeah, you can never be too cautious when it comes to security. And could you share with us how often actually do you manage to find a bug? Okay, so discrepancy between expected and actual result in your phase of testing. But everything is scaled. So on your table, how often do you actually find a bug? So, and another question is, how often do you find missed requirement, or you prevent a bug, even in the requirements phase, definition requirements. So how do you look at this, and what's your experience?
I think I choose the topic somehow because of this reason. Nobody actually, ordinary testers like manual automation testers, asking to do this testing. What I think it's totally wrong. We should be aware of this, and there are so many types of attacks. We should implement this from the beginning when somebody actually starting the position, what we are giving to him. Test the login, test the logout, and nobody is telling to them we have serious things to test here. Sometimes when we are on the testing environment, there are many bugs like that. But in one step, when we are going on part when we are pre-production, then majority from the security team fix everything and check everything. And on the production part, we are not testing that much. But sometimes if we are able, in some circumstances, I try. But I'm not actually expecting bug there. If we are having a bug on the production, then we didn't do a good job. Yeah. Yeah. But do you know that some people are not happy to invest in that at all? They're not thinking, they're not enough relying on information that we are giving, providing, and they don't want to spend so much money on those types of testing. So it's their fault.
Or they think they should be getting it in product sense. They're not entitled to know about the clients.
And that's what we are doing also. We are selling our products. So we have to tell them, let's think about security. That's our job. Thank you. There is?
Looking forward to and thank you for the presentation. I have a question like how right now people get to use a lot of personal account and don't get the password to use security password. What do you use about security password application like password from a web and something like this can get information over if you have information about this.
I believe that those solutions are good in a way, but I think last year or a year before this, we were speaking on one testing week about big exploit. It was like a big breach of one well-known company. So when they realize, they inform the users about this, but there is a little time. I think the best thing is to have some algorithm, and I'm using a notebook, but do not understand that's my password. I'm keeping it because I'm writing a lot. I write it somewhere in the middle to not understand if somebody actually find my notebook, do not understand that's the password. So it's good because I use any tool that can help, but be aware it can happen that even them are having attack any kind of type and your passwords can be stolen.
This is the last question. As a thank you for the presentation, I have an addition to the previous question. I think now, as users, have like, integration with, for example, Google or other services that allow us to get inside other services through Google accounts. Does this weaken the security situation, or it actually strengthens?
I believe to Google personally, because every time when anybody try or myself to log in on my account, I get a message because it's a weird device. For the location, also, I saw a message. Every time when I try to log in from anywhere, they are informing me something suspicious is happening. And the Google is a well-known rich company, and I believe they are enforcing everything they can to be like the best they can be. So Google is okay, I think. That's my personal opinion. Maybe we can do some research for next time if something like this happened actually to them. But the worst thing, one of my neighbor told me that she has on every account the same password. So everyday people are not thinking much about that. So maybe users can be the worst thing what they choose. Not actually the company, maybe users are choosing really big passwords. Thank you.